hand over to our moderator of the day, Mr. Mark Gaya. If you can hear me, you can proceed from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sami. Good evening, everybody, parents, coaches who are in the meeting, and all the swimming stakeholders. Thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar. For today's webinar, basically, we're going to present to you one of the top US coaches who is currently working with our coaches on the ASCA level 1 to level 4 coaching clinic currently ongoing at Crawford International School. And from next week, we will be working with swimmers of all levels, from beginners all the way to elite swimmers, starting from 13th all the way throughout the week. And the purpose of this meeting is to partly allow parents to get to know everything around swimming, and especially with regards to next week's event that we are going, that Coach Sarah together with Coach Hillary, also a top coach in Kenya, who are going to work with our swimmers. Our swimmers will get a great opportunity to work with the best that we have around, so that we can also move towards the destination that we want. So basically, so that we don't take a lot of time, I will be calling on shortly after this some of the presenters that we have, other than the keynote speaker, who is Sarah, who is already with us, to give a few comments here and there before we give Sarah an opportunity to proceed with the rest of the program. So right now, I'm going to call one of us, Bwana Kawai, to take not more than 3 minutes to tell us something about Swimmers Database, just a quick overview of what it entails, and the importance of your swimmers being in the Swimmers Database, and how we get to be in that database, and generally the importance of being in the database with regards to selection for various international and national duties that our swimmers or our athletes undertake. Bwana Kawai, over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I thank you for this opportunity. And first of all, I would also like to apologize. I was supposed to come to Nairobi for the ASCA meeting in Uganda. Unfortunately, something came up, and I couldn't make it. I, however, will be coming next week for the high performance training, and I hope to meet all of you guys. Samuel, I hope to see you again, and I look forward to being there. Is it possible for me to share my screen, Samuel?
Yeah, sure. Just share your screen. Should be okay.
I hope you can see the screen now.
Yes, sir. It's okay.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Kawai. I'm currently in Kampala, Uganda. I'm a software developer, a swim parent, and someone who also loves swimming so much, because my history goes back to my experience. Actually, I got into swimming because swimming somehow saved my life. And I asked myself how to give back, and one of the ways I could give back was through photography, and I think that is how Samuel and I met in February. Was it February or June? At Kasarani, when we met for the first time. I was doing photography, and then again, as a software developer, I decided to use my skills to see how best I can give back to swimming. And over the years, I got into swimming in around about 2017, and by 2023, I released a system that I call Swim Athletes. And the reason why I built this was because I had noticed that we keep losing our results. When a competition ends and we get a PDF result, usually after some time, a few weeks, a few days, people tend to lose that information. And also making it hard for people to actually know how they perform or pull results or reports from that kind of system. So I came up with an online database that can actually make it possible to store, retrieve, and also report information easily and on the go. So Swim Athletes is basically is a collection of databases built for different countries. Each country has its own database. So we started with Uganda, then Rwanda, then Tanzania, and Kenya and Burundi came. The databases for Kenya and Burundi were launched last year. The idea here is to give all swimmers the possibility to have one location where they can access all their performance, all the competitions they've ever competed in, and at the same time be able to see how they perform. Let's say if we're talking about medal count or even just their world aquatic points that they've scored in any event, as long as it is not a 25-meter race, the swimmers can be able to know how they are performing. So I was given only a few minutes to go through this. That is it. I will also be able to. I think I should ask whoever is interested in the PDF that I'm displaying to share with me their emails, and then I will be able to send it directly to their emails at the end of the presentation. But at the moment, the system is up, and I wanted to have an opportunity to show you a sample of how a profile would look like. Just give me a minute. Let me. Samuel, I've failed to share the second screen. Can you see my screen? I've just put up a screen. I'm not sure if everyone can see it.
No, it's not visible.
It's not visible. Give me a second. So on the screen, I've decided to share the whole screen this time around. Is a profile of a friend of mine. He's called Jacob Mugisha. He's a swimmer at Makerere University Sharks. He is Congolese and recently went to the World Aquatic Championships and represented Congo in the side competitions. So the current screen simply shows his statistics page, which will give you his personal best in every event he has ever swum. That is the section right in the middle. And on the right, there is a section for world aquatic points where the system then looks at how he has been performing in a year and calculates his world aquatic points based on strokes. So from this, you can actually look at it and tell that there has been improvement or he hasn't improved comparing his points from last year and this year. Or even when you focus on a particular stroke, let's say freestyle, you can notice that he has more points in freestyle this year and last year he had less points, which means his freestyle has improved. It also has, like I mentioned before, the world aquatic points, the medal count, which then I know it's a minor statistic, but for some swimmers, most especially the young ones, okay, look about their medal count. And if we go back to the personal best, for each stroke that this swimmer has ever swum, the system will pull out their personal best in that particular stroke. If you click on a particular stroke, it will then go ahead and give you what we call a performance curve for that stroke. So what you see is how he has been performing in butterfly over the previous competitions. The blue line indicates the personal best. The red line indicates the final time in each event. So if you look at every dot is a competition that he participated in, and then where the red line meets the blue line, that is the competition where he set that current personal best. Besides that,
we have also about 2 minutes, kindly start.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Okay, thank you.
Besides that, when you look at his results page, you can then get to see the competition where he participated, the event, the seed time, final time, and world aquatic points. If he scored a medal in that event, the system will still also go ahead and show you that there was a gold medal, silver or bronze in that particular event. The system is, the 5 separate systems are joined together, meaning they share the database. If an athlete from Kenya goes to compete in Tanzania, you do not need to re-enter the person competing, because the moment the results are shared, we simply add them into the system and the swimmers are there. For what it takes for a swimmer to have an active profile is basically them consenting if they are above 18. If they are below 18, it requires consent from the parent or guardian of said swimmer. Coaches cannot consent on behalf of parents. It has to be the parents themselves. I'll ask Pipsa to give me an opportunity next time to have a full presentation. But for now, this is what I can share in the time I was given. Those who shared their emails, I'll make it so that before midnight you will have gotten the full PDF that explains the system, and any questions that you might have, I will leave my phone number, specifically my WhatsApp number, in the chat section, so that anyone who has any questions, you can reach out and then I'll be able to answer them. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Samuel.
Thank you very much, Bwana Kawai. Kindly do mind to leave your contact details, mail, as well as your WhatsApp number to the comment section to enable those who may want to benefit from that particular presentation to get in touch with you. But also, because of the interest that we've already seen, and because some of our parents and coaches were not able to join to this meeting, I'm hopeful that the Secretariat will find it fit to have another such meeting to enable you to a more elaborate presentation. Thank you very much for that. In the meantime, allow me to move on to the next person who is going to do a short presentation. Allow me to call on Coach Omar if he's within the meeting to have to say something small regarding what we have had so far and what is expected for the rest of the days, that Sarah is going to work with the coaches, and also moving on to the high performance camp that is scheduled for next week. Coach Omar, welcome.
Mark, I think Omar is not in, so you can go to the next speaker.
Okay. Allow me now to call on board Coach Hillary, if he's in. Coach Hillary will be working with Coach Sarah during the high performance camp. They'll be working on the swimmers, and he'll just give you a brief of what is expected for next week, as they will be working together with Coach Sarah. Coach Hillary, you're most welcome. In the meantime, Coach Patrick Kawai, or Mr. Patrick Kawai's contact details, including phone contacts and email address, is already on the comment section. Feel free to get in touch with him regarding the presentation that is just done. Coach Hillary, over to you.
Mark, also Coach Hillary, I think he's locked out, but basically, as you have said that Coach Hillary will be working with Coach Sarah, and Coach Sarah has much of the details. So basically, for Hillary was just to introduce himself to the parents, and also properly give his profile. And because I know his profile, actually, Coach Hillary is the second vice president Kenya Aquatics, and also head coach of Torpedo, the one in Eldoret. And last year, he had an opportunity to travel to South Africa for a similar high performance training camp in South Africa, Cape Town, and he worked very closely with the national head coach of the South Africa open water, and also the other swimming, that is Coach Cedric, who also came here last year to train the coaches. And so what Coach Sira will be doing basically will not be new to him, and he worked very well with Coach Sala. And basically will be the high performance will have two programs. One in the evening, one in the morning from 7 to 9. From 7 to 9, that is the elite swimmers, and we will be having with the Coach Salah together with the Coach Hillary. And then from 9 to 9:30, it will be a talk to the athletes with Coach Salah. And then thereafter, I think there will be a break of 30 minutes. And then intermediate swimmer come in. They train for 1 hour 30 minutes, and then they will have a talk. And then thereafter, we have another session in the afternoon, which and those who are going to register will be given a definite by tomorrow, a definite program. So thank you so much. And basically, for me, I'm Stanley Kaberu, the first vice president, Kenya Aquatics. And as you had said that for competitive swimming, basically we have is a kind of a triad model. Triad model is whereby we have 3 stakeholders. That is the athlete, who is the core, and then we have the coach, and we have the parents. In our Kenyan ecosystem for the swimming, I feel we have emphasized so much on the athlete and the coach, and sometimes we overlook the other critical aspect of the triad model, that is the parents. And that's why we have Coach Salah here from the US to give that as what it takes for to be a swimming parent, to support the athlete and the coach, so that you get the desired results. So thank you so much. So probably Mark, you can invite Kadhoni to briefly explain what will be needed for the high performance, and thereafter you invite Coach Salah. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Stan. That is Coach Stan, the first vice president of Kenya Aquatics, and has a very long history with swimming. And majorly, we are here because of a lot of efforts coming from him. As you may have been aware in the past, such forums were not available in the past for a very long time. But here we are, that is water under the bridge. We are able to get such forums. We are able to get coaches from outside, international coaches, to come over and work with both our coaches and our athletes to enable us move towards the Olympics goal that every parent and every swimmer aspires their swimmers to get into. Allow me to call on board 2 minutes, Madam Rachel Gadoni, who's also worked closely with PIPSA and is also a representative from formidable sports house that has always ensured that our athletes, including swimmers, are well dressed with the required standards of costumes and gears. So I do not want to speak much about that. Madam Gadoni, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Mark, for giving me this opportunity. So my name is Rachel Gadoni. I work closely with PIPSA Kenya as the organizing secretary, where we organize events, and we already have we have an international event that is ongoing, that is the ASCA training, and also I work with Genesis Sports as the sales executive, where Genesis Sports is a powerhouse of sports where we deal with all sports equipment and wear. And also I'll be highlighting on the gears that you'll need for the training camp in regards to the upcoming high performance that will be taking place at Porterhouse School Runda from the 18th to 23rd of August. So with guidance from Coach Sarah and Coach Hilary, I'll be listing the items that you'll need for the training. I'm hoping you're in a position to maybe type, write, or take notes in regards to the meeting. The items needed. So, number one, we will be having. You'll need, as the swimmer, the participant will need the resistance, kickboards, a kickboard, a pull buoy, fitting flippers or zoomers. Some of you call them fins. Yes, you also need fins. You'll need stretch bands, hand paddles or arm paddles, and also snorkels. And also, those will be the most important equipment that you'll need throughout the training. The snorkel, for clarification on the snorkel, we do have some that are used for scuba diving, but those will not be needed during the camp. So we are going to use the front snorkel. I don't know whether Sam is in a position maybe to share an image of how the front snorkel looks like. It doesn't come with goggles, so avoid the ones with the goggles. As he shares the image, we will also more items that you'll need. Because of the weather, we advise swimmers to have a high quality jacket or towel that they'll use immediately after training or being in water for a while. So we want to ensure that safety in regards to health is observed. Secondly, we will need a water bottle. The swimmer will need a water bottle that is essential to keep them hydrated during the training sessions. Also, pack a pair of comfortable slides or sandals that they are going to wear around the pool deck. For those, the pool. You also the wet shoes are also advised to carry. And finally, anything else that I might have not mentioned, Coach Hilary will share. Thank you so much, Mark. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Gadoni. Kindly do remember to post a list of what you just mentioned at the comment section to enable those who want to benefit from that information to get in touch with you. Also remember to post the Genesis Sports limited contact details so that whichever parent would want to get them, they will be able to easily reach out to the Genesis team to enable them purchase the items. Also, just to remind them that Genesis will be able to deliver the items at Porter House. And I think just an idea because of the swimming camp, kindly do consider bringing the items at the pool site so that in case we have any of our parents who want to benefit or who want to buy from the pool site, I think it will be much easier for them, especially those who will not have gotten an opportunity for their swimmers to get the equipment. In the meantime, put the same information that you just talked about in writing at the comment section, and don't forget to leave them. Dear parents, coaches, and all the swimming stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, allow me now to call on board the person we've been waiting for to get us through this meeting. I think in the next 30 minutes, if she will be able to manage it 30 minutes, allow me to call on to Coach Sarah Holman, currently working with our coaches at Crawford International School for the ASCA level 1 and all the way to level 4, and intending to work with our swimmers from next week to come on board and give us the keynote speech that she has for us today. Thank you. Over to you, Coach Sarah.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it. And I'm very excited to be meeting all of you, even if it's online. My name is Sarah Holman, and I am, hold on a second. Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to get some information up on the screen for you. Just a moment, please. All right. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. And is my screen share okay? Can you see my screen share? Okay, excellent. Sorry about that. My name is Sarah Holman. I am from North Carolina. I have been a swimming coach professionally for 26 years. I started out as a YMCA swim coach, moved into college coaching in Kentucky. I spent 5 years with the board of directors for Kentucky Swimming, that governing body, and then we moved to North Carolina, where I coached for 7 years at Swim Mat Carolina, where I had the opportunity to coach elite high-level swimmers. We won multiple junior national championships in the United States. I also had a swimmer who was qualified and competed for Team USA in the Junior Pan Pacific Championships, and I was fortunate enough to be picked up as a coach for that trip. So I was able to coach for Team USA, which was such an honor. And then I moved on to Division I NCAA coaching in North Carolina at Davidson College and spent 5 years there. And now I run my own private business, Slight Edge Swimming, where I do private coaching for Learn to Swim. And also I work with a lot of age group competitive swimmers, senior level, elite level competitive swimmers, helping them with their technique. So I appreciate you all having me here tonight. My time in Kenya so far has been amazing, and I've just enjoyed meeting so many wonderful coaches. I am overwhelmed with the knowledge and passion and drive that the coaches here in Kenya have, and I think there is so much potential here in this country and in all of East Africa to really grow the sport of swimming and bring it forward together in a collaborative manner, so that you all can start to compete at an international level. So, quick overview. We're going to talk about the role of parents in competitive swimming. What is competitive swimming? What does that look like? A little bit about swimming in college and the pathway to the international level. So being a supportive parent, first and foremost, when we talk about parents and their role in the sport, thank you for what you do. It is a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice for sure. What is your role? And there's a lot of things to go with that, right? First and foremost, as we all know, there is a financial aspect to having your children being in sports. And that is not taken lightly by your club, by your coach, by anyone. Transportation. You guys are the drivers. You get them there, right? You make sure you spend a lot of time in the car, a lot of time sitting, waiting, getting your children where they need to go. And that's just awesome. One of the things that I think is really important for parents to be aware of and to remember is that are the slides are still not in presentation mode? Can you see them? Hopefully you all can see those.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to that. So nutrition is a really important piece of the puzzle, making sure even from a young age that your athlete is eating well-balanced meals. A young beginner swimmer, developmental swimmer, they don't need a super specific or super restricted diet or nutrition plan, but they do need to be eating really good proteins, really good veggies, really good starches, carbs, fruits, all those things that are going to help their body perform at its best. And I have shared with Coach Omar, and he is going to share with all of you some information from the United States Olympic Committee that gives you some great advice on how to properly fuel your athlete. Another important thing that I think is really important to mention, and I've had this conversation with a lot of parents in the United States, is one of your roles is to remember that their coach is not their parent, and thus, and just the same, the parent is not the coach, right? Always remember, first and foremost, what your athlete needs from you is they need you to be mom and dad. It's a hard sport. It's a grueling sport. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of disappointment. And they just need to know that no matter what, you're proud of them. Another really big piece of the puzzle is make sure you are a partner with your coach. It can be very easy to disagree or see things in a different way, but please keep in mind, coaches do this because they love it. They're passionate about it. They're working hard to gain knowledge and experience. And at the end of the day, they have to do what is best for an entire team. They can't always just take care of your individual athlete, which I'm a parent myself. I have a 15-year-old son, so I completely understand he's always first and foremost in my thoughts and my concern. But when he is a part of his school teams, I really have to think about, it may not be what I want personally just for him, but I have to understand that coach is always operating from the perspective of what is best for our team as a whole. And just remember, these coaches care a lot. It is not a luxurious job. It's a lot of work and a lot of growth and a lot of struggle, a lot of reward, and well worth it. But it's a big role, and a lot of times it's for little money. And then one of the most important things that I think parents always have to remember, and I fight this battle myself all the time with myself, because my son runs cross country. That was one of my sports growing up. So I'm very fueled and passionate about his running and how he does. But at the end of the day, his goals have to be his goals. My goals cannot be his goals. I have to take whatever goals he sets and support those. Because if I try to put my own goals on him, that creates a lot of stress. It creates a lot of tension in a parent-child relationship. And ultimately what we see is when swimmers are trying to please their parents instead of making themselves happy, we find that burnout is really high and kids end up out of the sport. And there's so much talent here. I want to see all these kids that are young right now still around, still in the pool 8 to 10 years from now. And that happens when they are supported, they feel loved, and they feel like they're able to have fun and just set goals and reach for them. Right? Swimmers are excited swimmers are at their best when they're excited and having a really good time. So another thing I wanted to touch on, what does it take to be successful in competitive swimming? Again, first and foremost, it has to be fun. We don't excel at anything that we don't love. Even coaching at the collegiate level, these swimmers are very, very high-level athletes. They train approximately 20 hours a week. We have high goals. They have high goals. We want to be as fast as we can be, as competitive as we can be as a team, and compete at the highest level possible. But we know that if we don't keep fun in the forefront of it, we're never going to get there. All right? Second thing, what does it take to be successful in competitive swimming? It takes time. And I don't mean fast times. I don't mean best times. I mean, it is a process. It takes a long time. Swimmers have to learn to have fun. They have to learn how to swim well before they can swim fast. We don't want to do too much too soon. There's actually a study in the United States where they followed the top 10 and unders in the country for an extended period of time over several years. And it's something like, if you look at the top 110 and unders, by the time that they turn 18, only 4% of them are still top 100 swimmers. So a fast 10 and under is not necessarily swimming at an international level, and that's unfortunate. And I think there's just a lot of things that get in the way that keep them from staying in the sport and staying on a positive path. So we don't need to worry about, especially at the 10 and under age, we don't necessarily need to worry about where they stand in relationship to what their competitive level is. We just really need to focus on making sure they're having fun, they're learning great skills, and they're learning how to be a good teammate and be a good listener and be coachable, right? All those things, when they are mastered at a young age, and then at 11 to 14, we start to train them a little bit. We start to increase things. They start to see a little bit of success. Then by 15 and over, we can really talk about having a pathway for high level swimming. Next thing, what does it take to be successful in competitive swimming? A whole lot of love and support. Right? They don't need a ton of pressure from coaches, parents, or any other outside source, because they will put it on themselves. The ones that are motivated, they are going to pressure themselves. Make sure they understand that they are loved and appreciated for who they are as a person. And being a swimmer does not in any way, shape, or form make up who they are as a person. It's not the primary layer of their identity. What else does it take to be successful in swimming? A well-planned progressive plan, right? You've got to have something that's well thought out. It's got to talk about long-term development. Again, what we do with an 18-year-old in the United States is very, very different than what we do from a 10 and under. And it's really hard, especially if your swimmer shows promise at a young age. It's really easy. If a 10-year-old is faster than some 13, 14, 15-year-olds, it's really easy to want to put them in the group, to challenge them, to give them more. But we have learned time over time that that's not what it's best for them. So we have to make sure there's a long-term plan for progression and moving through the sport successfully. Another thing, our kids have to have a great attitude, a positive mentality, belief in themselves. So how do we accomplish that? How do we help that along? And again, when we stay positive as parents and coaches, right? And everything is about possibilities and having fun and excitement and learning and growing and developing skills, our swimmers will adapt that mindset. And if we go in the other direction, unfortunately, they can adopt that mindset too. So again, it takes time and progression. 10-year-olds don't swim at the Olympics, and we don't need them to. This is just kind of a brief overview of what you might see typically in the United States in different clubs. 10 and unders, usually like 4 to 8 hours a week of training. They're primarily focused on skills, technique, having fun. They're competitive focused. They will go to meets, but that focus is more on getting better than winning. Of course, we always want to win, but we don't let winning or losing mark whether or not it was a completely successful endeavor at that swim meet. We talk a lot about what got better, how did we get better. If it's a 10 and under that's training less than 4 hours a week, we're just purely focused on technique.
Could Sarah just allow me to intervene? The slides are not moving. Kindly work on that so that your presentation is aligned with the slides. Thank you.
Can you see, hold on one second. Can you see it now? Mark, are you able to see the 10-year-olds?
Sure.
Progression slide? Can you see it okay?
Sure, it's now okay.
Okay, sorry about that. And then as we move forward to 11 to 14-year-olds, you're going to see anywhere, depending on their development and where they are in the sport, their commitment to the sport, you're going to see them training anywhere from 6 to 16 hours a week. 13, 14s will be the ones more likely to be upwards towards that 16 hours a week of training. Again, the focus there should be continued skill development, starting to think more long-term, learning to train well now that we've developed good skills as a young swimmer, and focusing on all events. We don't want a swimmer to specialize too young, all the way up to 14 years old. Even kids that I coached that swam at a national level in the United States at 14, they still swam all events. They did not specialize, right? And if we have swimmers at this age that are swimming training less than 6 hours a week, we're still focused on skills and fun. Maybe a touch of competition at a middle school, high school, school level, but really they're just using it for exercise and skill development. And then as swimmers progress towards 15 and older, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Now, some of them are training upwards of 20 hours a week. And again, many could be at less depending on their commitment level and their skill level. Still, we're always focused on a refinement of skills. Many start to train for top level competition. This is a fork in the road for a lot where they really have to decide what their commitment level to swimming is. Because if we want to swim at a national or even international level, we really have to think about prioritizing swimming over other activities. This might be the time where they drop a second sport and swimming is what they do, because it really takes almost a year-round commitment to start to make that national, international level. And again, for a swimmer that's less than 6 hours a week of training, we focus on skills, some speed, and maybe some local competitions. But 6 hours or less of training a week, we're not really talking about swimming at a high level. At that point, it's more recreational fitness focused. As far as swimming opportunities for universities and colleges in the United States, the NCAA athletic landscape is changing. I don't know how much you all have seen or read about the House settlement, but there's a lot going on that is affecting the amateur status of college athletes. And what does that mean? One of the things that's come out of that is there are now roster caps. And so there are kids that were recruited in the United States to swim in college. These rules are now taking effect this year, and so there's kids that already had a spot on a team and have now lost them. Now, I'm speaking specifically to Division I, Division II, and Division III. Those programs are not affected by the House settlement rules. But because of that, a lot of the scholarship money is in Division I, and so there's less money available due to roster limitations. So that's just kind of a little overview of what's happening in college swimming. There are still a lot of programs. There's still a lot of opportunities. Division II, Division III, NAIA, NJCAA, there's several different levels of college swimming in the United States. For instance, Division III, which is what I did as an athlete, there are no athletic scholarships even allowed. So athletes at Division III level, they're either full pay for university or they can look into academic scholarships. But also at Division III, there tends to be more roster spots and more opportunities for swimmers of a variety of levels and backgrounds and experience. So if you have a swimmer that is interested in swimming in the United States in college, at the beginning of their junior year or approximately 2 years ahead of when they would be, 2 years before they would be heading to school, here are some things that I really think are important to do. You want to start reaching out to coaches. Send emails directly to the coach. Most schools, I should say this day and age, all schools have a website, and you go to the school's website, you find the athletics, you find the sport, and then there's usually a recruiting page. And on that recruiting page, there will be a link where you can submit your information. And a mistake that a lot of swimmers make is they submit their information in the form, but what swimmers don't understand is these coaches are getting so many of them. Unless it's someone that seems to be exactly a fit, they may not reach out. So they're not going to learn about you. They're not going to learn about your story. And one of the biggest things an athlete can do to set themselves aside from others with a college coach is share their story. So make sure to send emails, some things you want to share, best times, academic achievements, because in a lot of schools, you're gonna have to have a certain academic level to even get admitted to have an opportunity to be on the team. Share some information about your training background. Have you done weights? Have you not? And if you haven't trained a lot and you haven't done a ton of weights, but you're still swimming pretty fast, that can actually be a really, really great selling point to a lot of coaches, because someone that has trained as hard as possible, 20 hours a week since they were 12 years old, how much better can they really get? Because you can't take a swimmer. How do you make them better down the road? If they're already doing 20 hours for years and years since they were 11, 12 years old, in college, we can't train them 30 hours. You can't go up from there. So actually not having done a full load of training can be a positive and can be an advantage when you're talking to coaches. And again, because some of the scholarship opportunities are not what they used to be, I think it's also important, if you are in a position to help pay for your child's education in the United States, that is something that I would share in the email. And I say that just because I know a lot of U.S. coaches, if they get an email from an international swimmer, most international swimmers require money to come over. And so sometimes they will get put at the bottom of the stack just because a coach in the United States will assume that maybe, okay, they're looking for scholarship and we don't have any, so I don't want to lead them with false hope that we could get them here to swim. So, East Africa, can we put it on the swimming map? I know I've only been here a handful of days, but I think so. There's more than enough coaching and swimming talent in this area to have many swimmers making international meets. I've had some great conversations with coaches here. I think there's going to have to be an increase in collaboration, across the country and the region. Having been a coach who had an athlete that got to represent the United States in international competition, I can tell you it is an absolute honor and just amazing opportunity. And I think that needs to be talked about. The athletes that you do have right now competing at world championships or junior worlds, the kids need to know about that, and they need to share their stories when they come back. It needs to be planned for at a national level, and people need to get excited about that and figure out what their role can be in that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that every coach is going to be part of that team or every swimmer is going to be a part of that team. But I think one of the lessons that can be learned from United States swimming is there is a pathway that begins all the way back at 11, 12, 13, 14, just starting to offer some opportunities. Again, not to put pressure on kids, not to train them more than they're already training at home, but giving them opportunities to come together and to talk about what does it mean to represent your country. We have a whole camp process that starts, like I said, all the way back at, I guess maybe not 11, 12, but more 13, 14. And then we have different levels of international competition that we compete in. And so these swimmers get brought along. And by the time they're making the Olympic team, they're already friends with people from all over the country. They've swam together, they've raced together, they've attended camps together. And I think there's absolutely an opportunity to get organized with that and do something similar here. So what can you do as a swim parent? Are you an official? Do you have an opportunity to officiate? Could you help facilitate more clinics, like what's going on with the high performance? What's been going on this past week with ASCA? There's so many options to do things like that. Is that something you could help out with? If a guest coach comes in from another area, another country, or guest athletes come to train with your athletes, could you, is that something that you could do? Could you host them and give them a place to stay while they're here and provide transportation? Can you help in some type of financial manner? help with costs for bringing swimmers together, bringing coaches together, and collaborating and training together and pushing each other. And I think it can start as simple as just volunteer for whatever your local club is. As they say, many hands makes for light work. And I know as a former head coach, I always appreciated having a large body of volunteers, of parents. They did so much for me and allowed me to really focus on the heart of my job, which is helping kids achieve their goals and get faster and in their swimming. Also look into, are there opportunities to serve on your local governing bodies and help build the sport for all. So again, the big picture of what does it look like to move an entire country forward in their international presence in the water? It's progression, it's patience, it's discipline, it's hard work, it's sacrifice for both athletes and families. And finally, I just want to share, I'm really excited for this elite performance clinic this week. I'm going to be there Monday through Wednesday mornings leading sessions. There's going to be opportunities to work on all 4 strokes. We're going to work on starts. We're going to work on turns. I'm hoping to offer some individual feedback as much as possible, and also some discussion with the kids on nutrition, goals, and mindset. So I just can't tell all of you enough how much I appreciate the opportunity to be here in the first place. I have absolutely, hold on a second, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Sorry, get back to me. There we go. I just can't tell all of you how much I've appreciated the hospitality, the warmth, the warm welcome. I am in love with Kenya. I am more in love with the people of Kenya. And please know that I am now Kenya's #1 swimming fan, and I hope that these conversations continue. I hope that I can continue to be an asset to the coaches and athletes here and in the surrounding countries here in East Africa. And I am happy to do anything that I can to help out. And real quick, we can probably do a few questions. If you could you just throw them in the group chat? I'm sorry, I'm sorry that I didn't see the note on the slides earlier. But if anyone has a question in the group chat, if you could just type it, that would probably be the easiest.
Yeah, we could, Coach Sarah, thank you very much. We could allow them to think through the presentation. If they have any questions, they should be in a position to either type. We'll also give them a few minutes for those who probably want to ask the questions directly, either to you or the rest of the team members. We will be in a position to give them an opportunity to ask. In the meantime, parents, coaches, just to emphasize that starting next week on Monday all through to 23rd, we will be having Coach Sarah working together with both our athletes, together with our coaches during the high performance camp at Porterhouse School. Gadoni, kindly be mindful that you send the details of the same on the chat box to enable the parents to sign up for the same. And during the session, we'll also on each day we will be having a session with the swimmers. We'll have other than just training them, we'll have Coach Sarah having a session with them, one-on-one talk. I think it will give them a very good opportunity to get to know the insights regarding all that entails swimming across the world. So I would urge all of us to have our athletes signed up. The coaches are already benefiting from the deep knowledge and skills that Coach Sarah has delivered, and we continue to appreciate that. I think now it's our turn to enable our swimmers to get in touch with this insightful personality in swimming to enable us move forward. If we only empower the coaches alone, we will not be able to do it. Let us empower the coaches as we have done it, and also empower the swimmers. and as well as parents, because as Coach Stanley already put it, it's a three-way where we have the swimmer, we have the coach, and we have the parent. So today is our session, and hopefully, with permission from the PIPSA Kenya team and Coach Sarah, we'll have another informative meeting, probably over the weekend, to ensure that we get everything that we need to get as we move towards the high performance camp next week. In the meantime, sign up for the high performance camp that is scheduled for next week at Kota House School, Runda. And you will be able to meet Coach Sarah in person, as well as the swimmers will be able to meet Coach Sarah in person, together with our assistant coaches who will be assisting her. Stanley, before we go to the question and answer session, kindly say something about the high performance clinic that is scheduled for next week, and then we can go straight to the Q&A session.
Thank you, stakeholders. Hey, that was a very elaborate and insightful presentation from Coach Sarah. And actually, as Coach Sarah has indicated, that hopefully it will not be a one-time off agenda. It will be a continuous. And also that aspect of supporting our coaches so that they get the right training, the right exposure, so that they subsequently they can be in the position to push our swimmers to go to the highest level. So I'm happy that my team has signed up, has put up the link for signing up, and we are looking forward to meeting the athletes from the junior to elite to intermediate at Port House School, Runda. Actually, it's a heated pool. It's we'll be using the high school session 1. That is the near Brook House, and actually there you gain a lot, and we'll give each swimmer will get like a performance evaluation, which we'll also take to your respective coach, so that he or she can see what to improve. Actually, currently at the Crawford, we have more than 230 coaches from the 6 nations who are really benefiting a lot from this ASCA training. And actually, it's not just a certificate or one-day activity. It is a continuous growth, and all our coaches will get a membership, a membership for 2 years, whereby they will be gaining access to several webinars about the coaching, nutrition, injury prevention, high performance, and all strength and conditioning, and all that. So thank you so much. And at this opportunity, I'll give back to Coach Sarah so that he can go to that section of question and answer. And I see that most of the question has been put to the chat box. So Coach Sarah, you can pick them from there and address them directly. So if you have a question, please put them at the chat box, and Coach Sarah will be in a position to address them. Thank you so much.
So someone asked about 20 hours of training. In most cases, that would be a mix. It would be mostly water training and some weight room or dry land training, whatever that team does. When I shared those numbers, that was just kind of a big picture of like the average of what a United States swimmer would do. How can parents support their swimmer other than money? Like volunteering, helping out at meets, and like I said, just getting them to where they need to be, and letting them know that they are, they're awesome, and that they really think how hard they work is great, and not really focus on their times and outcomes, but focus on the things that they do and the process. For the nutrition, like I said, there's going to be something sent out or posted that has a ton more information on timing of nutrition, how to handle that with practice, how to handle that with meets. How do you deal with a parent who has high expectations? High expectations can only be met with high levels of preparation. So, there's a lot that goes into that. And if the swimmer's expectations are not as high for themselves as the parents are, we're always going to come to a dead-end road, unfortunately. Like I said, the swimmer has got to drive their own goal setting, and then with maybe some influence from those around them. But at the end of the day, the swimmer has to decide what they want to do. and how well they want to do it and how much they want to put into it. And then they've got to look around to those around them to get that support. Predicament, 14-year-old boy who's pretty talented but rather slack on interest in training. I think that's a lot of 14-year-old boys. So I think you just go back and look at, again, what are his goals and what does he want to accomplish and what does your program offer that might align with that. And if your program is, the only option is to be all in and 20 hours a week, then he may find himself in another sport or at another team. Can you offer levels within your program for various commitments? If somebody wants to play football and be a swimmer, then they can't come train all the time. Do you offer an option for that? What does that look like? And unfortunately, sometimes we just don't keep those kids that are fast because they want to go do something else, and that's okay too. Because again, if their goal is not to swim great, they're not going to swim great. Great question, Olivia. 10-year-olds, yes, play multiple sports. They don't need to train all the time in swimming. There's so much benefit to being a multi-sport athlete when you are a young age. And honestly, there's more to lose by specialization so young than there is to gain. Steve, I'm trying to read through yours. Steve, I might have to talk to you more one-off. Training children on the spectrum. I do not have a specific curriculum for that. It is something I have worked with some kids, but the biggest thing that I do there is I really just lean on the parents a lot for their knowledge and their expertise and what works for their kid and what does not. And then as far as growing and eating different types of food, again, it's really just about eating well, eating balanced, avoiding processed foods, teaching kids to love vegetables, to love fruit. Make sure those that train at a high level, if they're swimming, we're working out, 12, 16, 20 hours a week, we have to make sure they're refueling properly. They are burning a lot more energy than their counterparts and other kids that might be their age, their height, their size. And so, you got to really make sure that they get a lot of good carbohydrates in them to refuel after workouts and be prepared to go back and work hard again the next day. Thank you all for those questions, and I'll turn it back over to Mark.
Thank you, Coach Sarah. We are about 4 minutes past our intended time. You'll allow me to inch into your time, just 5 minutes. I'll allow not more than 3 people to ask oral questions. So for those who had raised up their hands, I'll start with Louis. Kindly go ahead.
I guess you mean me, Louise? Hello.
Correct.
Yes, thank you very much, Sarah. I was the one who asked the question about the 14-year-old boy child who happens to be my child. So I'm not a coach. And I just wanted to know what a parent can do in that particular situation where you see the child has talent, the coach says they have talent, but they're very, reluctant to train, and it's me pushing, wake up, let's go. So how does a parent deal with that kind of situation, for example? Is it there's a teenage thing or what? Thank you.
It could be a lot of things, to be honest. I guess we're very similar. I have a 15-year-old, so I would probably sit down with my son and say, do you want to swim? Do you love to swim? Or, and if they say, I love it, but what are the things what's holding him back from committing at a higher level? What is it about the sport that he's struggling with? And again, is there a solution for that? But I think, really just kind of dig to the heart of why he's feeling the way that he's feeling. Because like you said, you're the one driving the bus figuratively on getting him up in the morning and all of that stuff. And, unfortunately, no matter how hard you push, he's never going to achieve what he can truly achieve. And if anything, if he gets pushed too long, too hard, he's going to learn to resent the sport. So just maybe figure out what the roadblocks are for him mentally, emotionally with going all in is what I would do.
Thank you, Coach Sarah. I'll allow Richie to come in next. Richie.
Richie, if you're talking, you're muted. And we can't hear you.
Hello, Coach Sarah, the team. I hope you can hear me. My question is just for my wife, around 7 years old, and she's just starting out in swimming. And she had basically to do with her physique in terms of she's very lean. And I was wondering, is the swimming as an exercise going to help her maintain the leanness, or is there something that she needs to do in terms of starting to look at additional training where it's more physical in terms of outside of the pool, more like the gym?
So that's a really good question. 7, you said she's fairly weak. Again, make sure she's getting adequate calories and adequate quality calories from the nutrition side. And then honestly, she doesn't really need to be in anything super specific at 7 years old in a gym, dry land. We don't want to be putting heavy weights on them. I would just find ways to encourage her to go outside. And I was telling a story to the coaches. When I was a kid, I was never in any type of formal dry land strength training, but I was out climbing trees and riding bikes and running around and chasing my friends. So, even is there anything you all can do as a family in your free time to go outside and be active and, try different things, try different sports as a family. That's what I would encourage at 7. I think at 9, 10, you can start to introduce some of those skills. And they can play lots of games, like, have her invite friends over from the team and play games, play tag or play hide and seek. All of those things can do to some level what formal training can do, but it's a lot more fun and a lot more motivating for a kid that age. And then a few more years down the road, I think you can start to look at a little bit more formal training.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Coach Sarah, we are going to kindly handle the last 2 inquiries or questions in the chat box coming from Sharon and Damaris. After that, we'll allow Nashiba to ask her question, and then we'll wrap it up at that.
Okay, sounds good. How do you motivate a child whose parents want them to swim, but the child doesn't want them to swim? Great question. If you come up with a solution to that, let me know. But again, continuing to push, I think, has the opposite of the desired effect. Maybe give them a season to try a different sport. Maybe you have a future football star or a future swimming star or tennis star or some other sport. So, and again, just try to have some open, honest conversation. And instead of telling them how you feel as a parent about swimming, ask them how they feel. Just let it be about them. See if they can open up a little bit and share what it is. And to be honest, are they just afraid of disappointing you? And maybe all that is they need to hear, like, hey, just do it and love it and work hard for yourself. And I'm going to be proud of you no matter what. It could be as simple as, are they just afraid of disappointing mom and dad? So I think, again, honest conversation. Don't push too hard because you're not going to get the desired outcome you want from that. And don't be afraid to let them take a break and try something else. And they might come back to it. I've had swimmers leave the sport and come back. They just needed a break, or they needed to try something different to make them realize, hey, swimming actually is my favorite. I just, I kind of forgot that. And then, is there an optimum time for swimming training, i.e. mornings or evenings, or is either okay? I think both are okay. A lot has to do with facility availability, schedules of athletes, coaches, when you have pool space. I will say the one thing that I think needs taken into accountability is if you're going to do both, as we talked about with the coaches, recovery is massively overlooked. We have to remember, we don't actually build muscle or strength when we work out, right? Our muscles build when we recover. And everyone wants to work. But without adequate recovery, all you're doing is breaking muscle down. If it does not recover, it does not grow, it does not get stronger. So I think when we're looking at scheduling practices, again, does a kid have an opportunity to get 8 hours of sleep every night? Are they sleeping? Are they getting time for their body? Maybe not sleep, but between a morning and evening, is there enough time off to recover from that? So that would be the thing that I look at. And I guess when you start to get to kind of a high level, elite level, you can also look at aligning some of your training times with around the time that an athlete might swim, just because their body gets into a rhythm. But again, that's not something that we need to worry about with a young swimmer, with a developmental swimmer. I'm talking about 15 and over. They're swimming at an international level. They're swimming at a pretty high level. Then those would be some more detailed things at that age we might look at.
Oh, great. Let's allow Nashiba to ask the last question. Nashiba, unmute yourself.
Yes. The question I have is that my daughter is 11 years old and she's very active in swimming. And of course, she's juggling with school and training in clubs here in Kampala, Uganda. I want to know the target time per week of which I need to look at for her training, for her to keep, in shape and not lose out. What's the target time would I navigate to ensure that she gets in active swimming in a week? That's my question. Thank you.
It's kind of hard to give a specific answer to that question. 11 years old, if she sounds like she's swimming, taking it fairly seriously. Again, this is where you have to really communicate with the coach and lean on their experience and their expertise. And, you want to have, again, a thought on a pathway, because at this age, you could have her swim a lot, but her progress might be stifled by the time she's 13, 14 from doing too much. You definitely also don't want to do too little, but I've seen programs where maybe a swimmer only gets, 6 to 9 hours a week because that's all that water they have access to. But if they're training well and they're learning technique and valuing great swimming skills, you can achieve a lot of your aerobic endurance outside of the pool. So like I said, there's a lot of factors that would go into that, but the biggest one would be making sure she's not swimming too much or too intensely. If she's a really good swimmer at 11, she doesn't need to swim like she's 18 because she's not 18. And then when she is swimming, again, is she in a program that values skills and technique? Because when we look at world-class swimmers, they all swim well. There's not one single finalist in the Olympics in any year with poor technique. And we also know through longitudinal studies that United States Swimming has done, by the time a swimmer is 13 or 14, most of their technique is locked in. Well, if they've tried to get fast as a child by just training, laps with poor technique, they're probably going to end up stuck at some point. So again, under the age of 15, first and foremost, great skills, great technique, becoming a great kicker, learning to streamline, learning to swim underwater. And then as they get older, you can talk about progressing that volume.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Allow us to have Sharon as the last person. Sharon, unmute and ask your question.
Hello, good evening. Thank you. I just wanted to know, based off of your experience, if you have swimmers who are small-bodied, and they're training well, they're involved in other activities, sport activities, their nutrition is good, but for whatever reason, maybe genetically speaking, their bodies just don't seem to build the muscle and the strength that they need. How would you, for longevity, how would you make sure that that swimmer is still a strong, good competitive swimmer despite their body makeup?
How old is the swimmer?
11, 12, almost a teenager.
Okay. And I'm probably going to sound a little bit like a broken record here, but Mary T. Maher, who won Olympic gold in the 200 butterfly in the 80s, her record stood for, I can't remember how long, but it was years and years and years. I think she was 5'1" or 5'2". So we have many examples of swimmers that are not of large stature that swim really fast. And one of the things that I always tell swimmers that aren't big and huge is you have to learn how to move your body through the water really, really well. So again, it goes back to, do you have great skills? Do you have great technique? Are you working on those? Then of course, as they get a little bit older, 11, 12, you can start to implement some level of dry land and strength training. 11, 12, even for a female, they're still growing. 13, 14, 11, 12 boys, they have a long way to go with growth. I don't think we need to be in a hurry to put a ton of muscle on them too quickly. Like I said, I do think you can start to bring that along with some strength training and movement training on the side. And then again, just, making sure they're eating well, making sure that their caloric needs are being met. And there's different calculators you can use online where you can plug in height and weight and activity level and age and all of those things that can help give you a little bit better guide of maybe this is about how many calories a day my athlete needs to be eating.
Thank you, Coach Sarah. We are in exactly 18 minutes into the time that we had allocated. So for that reason, we are going to end the meeting. The 18 minutes past the time is actually worth it. Thank you very much, Coach Sarah, for the very informative session. Parents, coaches, and all the swimming stakeholders who managed to get in, allow me to express our sincere appreciation for coming into the forum, engaging us, and we're looking forward into more engagements with all the swimming stakeholders. I will be getting in touch with the rest of my team members, and with permission from Sarah and the rest of the coaches, probably we could have such an informative session again. Once approved, we will be getting in touch with you. In the next time, we will be having our webinar to give information regarding swimming generally, and also the high performance camp that will be scheduled for next week. In the meantime, we have all the contact. We have placed our contact details for those who wish to sign up for the high performance clinic for next week with Coach Sarah. This will be the best opportunity for both our athletes and coaches to work with Coach Sarah once again to enable us drive forward towards the Olympic goal that as East Africa we've always wanted to. So sign up through the contact details already given, and we will be meeting at the pool starting next week, both parents and the athletes who will have been signed up. In the meantime, allow me to call on my senior coach, Stanley Kaberu, to close the meeting so that we can allow the coaches who are already in to have their evening because we still have a day for an eventful day tomorrow. So over to you, Coach Kaberu. And Yes, over to you, if you are around. Constant seem not to be around, so for that reason, I'll allow us to leave the meeting as it's officially ended. In case we'll have another meeting in such a forum, we will keep in touch. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Was it recorded?
Yes, yes, it was recorded. We will be availing the recorded version of the same in the various platforms that we have. So you will, for the colleagues who were not able to join in, for one reason or the other, they will not have missed out anything.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.